Hey everyone! Tonight I've got 4 true workplace stories that still make the hairs on my arms stand up. These aren't gory. They're the quiet kind of scary. The kind that follows you home and sits in the passenger seat all the way to your driveway. If you've ever worked late, closed up alone, or covered a night shift, you'll know exactly the kind of fear I'm talking about. Story 1. The elevator that shouldn't stop. I used to clean offices in a downtown high-rise. Nights only. Just me, a cart, and the hum of vents. It was one of those buildings with gleaming marble in the lobby, and an elevator that talked in a soft, polite voice. My job was floors 7 through 12. Easy money, as long as you didn't mind being the last human in the building. The elevator was my coworker. I knew its rhythm. The smooth pull when it climbed. The slight dip when it settled. One Tuesday around 2 a.m., I felt it slow between floors. The display flickered like it lost power for a second. When it came back, the number didn't make sense. It said, 13. Our building didn't have a 13th floor. Superstition. The panel jumped from 12 to 14. I stared at the glowing 13 like it was a joke. Some new mode I hadn't seen. The soft voice chimed, "Floor 13," as the doors parted to a blank wall. Not drywall. Old concrete, rough and pitted, with a thin seam of darkness running down the center like something used to be there and got sealed. The air coming through that seam was colder than the elevator and smelled like pennies and wet paper. I hit close door like I was slapping a mosquito. The doors shut, the car jolted, and the display jumped to 7. I got off shaking, pushed my cart to the first office, and pretended it didn't happen. The next night, as a test, I filmed the panel with my phone. Halfway up, flicker, 13. Same polite voice, same doors, same wall. Only this time there was a sound that didn't belong in a closed elevator shaft. Muffled shuffling, like someone in heavy clothes trying to turn around in a tight space. Then a knock from the other side of the seam. 3 dull, patient taps. I rode back down, walked to security, and told Miguel, the night guard. He was a quiet guy with coffee breath and crossword pencils in his shirt pocket. We watched my video on his desk. He didn't say anything until it ended, then shrugged. "Old building," he said. "Old stuff." He pulled up the elevator logs. Every time I'd gone up, the software printed a list of floors. 7, 8, 9, 12, 14, no 13. He turned a monitor to the lobby cam while I rode up again so he could time it. When I got back, white-faced and sweating, he had that pencil in his teeth. He just pulled up the break room camera from the 12th floor. It showed me rolling my cart past the vending machines, and someone walking right behind me. Close, so close the shoulder almost touched mine. Tall, in a heavy coat, no facial features, just a dark shape with one sharp detail, a white square where a name badge should be. And when I stopped to wipe a table, the shape stopped too, and kept facing the camera. "I didn't see that," I whispered. "Sometimes the old floors show up," Miguel said. "My grandfather worked maintenance here when it was shorter. They used to store things, mechanical stuff. Sometimes people got hurt. They sealed it all." "Why would the elevator stop there?" I asked. "So somebody can get on," he said, and looked at the screen like he'd said too much. I quit the next week. On my last night, the elevator voice glitched in the lobby. It didn't say, "Going up." It said, in that same polite tone, "We never finished cleaning." The doors opened to empty steel. I took the stairs. A month later, I was walking downtown at lunch and decided to cut through the lobby. They'd renovated the panel. Sleek, new glass, no numbers at all. A security guy stood there with a tablet calling cars. A worker was peeling the protective film off the panel when I saw it. Just for a blink. Under the glass, a tiny etched 13, like a scar. And from the shaft came that same cold coin smell, as if whatever space sat between 12 and 14 wasn't empty after all. Story 2. The freezer aisle. Crying, when I was 19, I closed at a grocery store off the highway. Nights were easy. Facing shelves, sweeping aisles, putting back what customers abandoned in weird places. The worst part was the walk-in freezer. It growled like a plane engine, and the door seal squealed when it closed, like something whining. One night I was restocking frozen pizzas when I heard it. A baby crying, not loud. Thin, tired sobs like it had already been crying for hours and ran out of tears. It was coming from inside the freezer. I stood still with frost collecting in my arm hair. The sound wasn't muffled like it came through steel. It sounded like the aisle itself was crying. I opened the door. My breath fogged. Boxes, pallets, ice on the ceiling coils. "Hello?" I said, and immediately felt stupid. The crying stopped. Somewhere behind me, a box slid a few inches on its own. I called for Jay, the manager. He'd been there forever and treated everyone like a younger cousin. He came in, wrapped in his brown jacket, and cocked his head. "Nothing. You're hearing the condenser," he said. "They whine." But the crying came back 2 nights later, this time mixed with hushed words, like a woman trying to calm the baby down. The words didn't line up with English. They were breath and rhythm and something old. I went to grab Jay again, but he was walking toward me already, pale. "You hear it too?" I asked. He didn't answer. He walked past me into the freezer, turned a slow circle, and then he shut off the light and held the door half closed so it was dark, and the cold had weight. In the dark, the crying shifted to the far wall, then to the ceiling, then right by my left ear. I flinched. The door thunked shut the rest of the way. We were locked in. The safety release should have worked. It didn't. We pounded and kicked. Our breath turned thick. In the dark, I felt Jay press his palms flat against the steel and whisper, "Don't do this." To the door, or to something else. The crying stopped. A tiny scratching started instead, like fingernails tracing letters. The light came back on by itself. The door opened with a gentle hiss like nothing had happened. We stumbled out and Jay punched the frame once, quietly. He wouldn't look at me. I asked him straight up, "Has this happened before?" He took a while to answer. "Before your time," he said. "A mom left a cart in the aisle. Baby seat. Came back with milk, cart was gone." He swallowed. "We found it in here. The latch jammed. The fans are loud. You can't hear someone pounding from outside." After that, they changed the latches. But sometimes the old latch wins. Why would it still cry? My teeth were chattering, and not from the cold. "Some places keep the shape of a sound," he said. "Like a groove on a record." He finally looked at me. "But the talking? I've never heard that part." We closed early that night. Jay walked me to my car like a dad. As I drove off, I checked my rear view and saw him standing in the pool of light by the carts, hands in jacket pockets, staring at the dark doors. The next week, they sent out a corporate email about a deep clean and a freezer reset. New seals, new hinges, new lights. It worked for a while. Then, on a Thursday, stocking waffles, I looked up and saw letters traced in frost along the inside of the glass door from the freezer's other side. It wasn't my breath. I hadn't touched it. It said, "Let me out." I backed away, bumping a display. By the time I got Jay, the words had melted into a blur. He stared at the fogged glass and shook his head once, like he was removing a bad thought. A month later, he transferred to produce at a different location. The crying stopped. The whispering didn't. When I moved away for school and came back to visit, the store had a new manager and a brand new walk-in. They kept the old door, though. It's on a different wall now, patched over and painted. If you press your ear to it, I swear you can hear a woman's breath, soft, measured, and getting closer. Story 3. The Duplicate Badge. I worked nights as a security guard in a tech company's office. The building had glass walls and motion-sensing lights that made you feel watched. My job, patrol every hour, check the server room locks, watch the badge system. The badge log was boring until it wasn't. One night at 3:12 a.m., I saw an access denied ping from the 10th floor stairwell. The badge number flashed and my stomach dropped. It was my badge. My badge had tried a door while my badge was also logged in and sitting in the guard station reader, and I was watching it. I leafed through the binder, double-checked the numbers, did the little mental dance where you try to explain something simple with something simple. Glitch, lag, mirror, fine. 3 minutes later, the 10th floor hallway lights flicked on one by one like something walked under them. The camera feed showed empty carpet, long and gray, with the air shimmer you get above a highway in July. The door to the server room swung once and settled. I took the elevator with the heavy flashlight you only carry to feel brave. The doors opened to stale coffee smell and the distant tick of a cooling HVAC unit. "Hello?" I said. Saying hello makes you feel less like a ghost yourself. The corridor lights were steady now. My steps sounded too loud. I checked the stairwell where the badge denial pinged. The push bar was cold enough to sting. On the wall next to it, someone had scraped lines into the paint at head height, like tally marks. 5, then 4, then 3. Fresh curls of white lay on the floor like shavings. The server room door was closed and locked. When I put my ear to it, I heard a fan and something else. Wet breathing, like the sound a dog makes after a long run. But human. I keyed my radio. "Possible vagrant," I said, and my voice came out steady, which surprised me. I opened the door. Racks of machines glowed blue like a quiet city at night. The breathing stopped. No one was there. On the far side of the room, on the glass panel of a server tower, a faint handprint showed up in the condensation. Too long, each finger a little crooked. I moved closer and the glass fogged with my breath, and when it cleared, the handprint wasn't there anymore. Back at the desk, I pulled the logs with the duty laptop. The access history showed my badge hitting the 10th floor at 3:12, and then again, 2 minutes later, the lobby turnstile. The second entry had camera stills attached. I clicked. The frozen image showed the turnstile from the side. A figure was half through it. Same uniform as mine. Same jacket with the rip at the cuff. Same crooked left shoulder I have from an old wrestling injury. The head was turned toward the camera and the face was soft, like a long exposure. Features smeared by motion. But I knew my own profile. Whatever it was, it wore me. I scrolled down. The system had flagged an old incident with the same badge number 11 months earlier. Same time, 3:12 a.m. Same floor, 10th. But the note attached was from a different guard. Sounds in stairwell. Someone matching my appearance on cam. Face blurred. Resigned the next day. I went up once more before dawn, because that's the kind of bad decision you make when you're alone and stubborn. The stairwell smelled like metal and damp clothes. As I passed the landing, I heard my own radio chirp. From above me, the chirp echoed. Then a voice I recognized as mine said, "Possible vagrant," but out of sync, 5 seconds late, like a recording catching up. At the very top door, a clipboard lay open under the emergency light. The paper clipped to it had the nightly checkboxes and the blank signature line. Someone had signed my name for me. I stayed until sunrise and turned in my badge at lunch. The manager joked about graveyard shift hallucinations, then looked up and saw my face and shut up. As I left, the turnstile beeped with its friendly little tone, and the screen said, "Access granted. Welcome back." I didn't swipe anything. Story 4. Bay 12. If you've worked a warehouse overnight, you know that sound carries differently in a big space when most of the lights are off. A cough feels like a gunshot. A dropped wrench sounds like a plate hitting tile. I was a picker at a logistics center on the edge of town, bays 1 through 15. I hated Bay 12, and I couldn't give you a good reason why until it gave me one. The first night I got assigned there, my handheld scanner glitched whenever I crossed the yellow line into the bay. It would freeze, then reboot, then correct itself like it remembered who it was. The racks ran up 3 stories, and the forklift beeped in a steady pulse that got inside your skull. Sometimes the motion sensor lights didn't catch you in time, and you'd walk into darkness, and then it would all come up at once. Too bright, showing you too much. They told me a guy named Anton used to run Bay 12. He was the kind of worker everyone remembers because he knew where everything was without looking. There was an accident, the kind you talk around. Equipment failure, some said. He got pinned, others said. I asked what pinned him. Nobody would say. On my 3rd week I was scanning a pallet when I heard footsteps above me on the catwalk. Heavy boots, slow, then fast, like the person changed their mind. I yelled up, "Hey!" and got a yell back at the exact same time from my own mouth. It wasn't an echo. It was a reply that matched my pitch, my timing. I looked up and saw movement, then nothing. My scanner buzzed. An item had been added to my pick list that wasn't in this bay at all. It was in 12R, a row we didn't have. I checked with the floor manager. He frowned at the screen. "We don't have our rows," he said, tapping the monitor. "We stop at Q." "Then where do you want me to pick this?" I asked. He deleted the line and told me to take my break. I sat on a stack of flattened boxes by the dock door and listened to the big room breathe. Somewhere deep in the racks something clacked, like plastic sliding against plastic. When I stood up to toss my wrapper, a forklift rolled past on its own beep beep beep. Not fast, not dangerous, just purposeful. No one was on it. No key in the ignition. I followed at a safe distance like an idiot and watched it turn into Bay 12 and stop at a pallet wrapped in cloudy film. The film had a handprint under it, and the plastic was sucked tight like something under there had inhaled. I ripped the wrap down to the pallet wood. Nothing. Just air. The scanner buzzed again. Pick complete. That night I dreamed I was pinned between the rack and the forks, and the hydraulics hissed in my ear like a voice. When I woke up, the hiss was still there. It was the break room espresso machine. Next shift I brought bolt cutters, which is not something you admit to management. There was a small bolted panel at the back of Bay 12, just above the floor, where the electrical feeds run. I don't know why I thought opening it would help. Curiosity is a kind of praying. I snipped the lock, pulled it open, and found a little space no bigger than a dog crate. The air was stale and hot. Inside was a cracked phone, a crushed hard hat, and an old clipboard with Anton's name on it. Under the name was a date that made my stomach drop. The day before I started. It wasn't a shrine. It was a corner where someone had stuffed what they didn't want to think about. I put it all back exactly how I found it, and I lied to myself that I hadn't touched anything. On the very last order of the night, my scanner rerouted me to 12R again. This time it gave me a single item description. Return him. The forklift across the aisle beeped once and tilted its mast like a nod. The air smelled like hot metal and old sweat. The catwalk above me creaked. I backed out, slow. I said, "I'm sorry." To no one and to someone. The lights overhead went out 2 at a time in a line toward me. Snap, snap, snap. Until the only light left was the green glow of the scanner showing those 2 words. The forklift's hydraulics sighed and the forks lowered until they kissed the concrete with a soft clang. The floor manager found me standing there a minute later. He was angry about the bolt-cut lock until he saw my face. He put a hand on my shoulder. "We don't work 12 after 2 a.m., he said quietly. "Go home." I did. That was my last night. A week later, I saw a listing online. Hiring, overnight picker, Bay 12. Same pay, same shift. New operators. When I drove past the place, every bay door was closed except one. 12. It was rolled up like a mouth in the dark. Which story scared you the most? Comment below and subscribe for more true horror stories.